Today we're going to be doing a full restoration on the Nintendo Game Boy Pocket. I have done a couple of restoration videos, it's fair to say, on these Game Boy Pockets, but they've been heavily edited with a lot of music and sort of cut sequences. So I've decided to go back over some of the consoles that I've been doing and do a full restoration, which would include a repair of the screen and, in this case, the motherboard as well, because there's quite a lot of corrosion going on down there. Also, there's a lot of discoloration and actual removed paint in the shell, so we're going to be painting the shell and making sure that it looks spotlessly clean and new. So there is obviously quite a lot of work involved, and I would like to sort of do it in a more in-detail, in-depth way to give you guys as much information as possible. So this is the Nintendo Game Boy Pocket that I picked up for the low price of £6. That is absolutely right. Let me show you the listing. $8.69. That comes to just a little bit over £6, and there was $5.99 postage, which is about £3 because I bought a bunch of Game Boys at the time, so the postage came down. So this is a Game Boy Pocket under £10, which is an absolute bargain. You can see on the photos that there is obviously quite a lot of the paint has been removed, the screen is badly damaged. I don't believe it actually works. It says the item does not work. We checked this item and just couldn't power it on. We were unable to confirm the details. There is a dot on the screen, sure, just a little one. And yeah, the rest of the photos are just showing all the different angles of how severely damaged it is. But by the time this video is done, it will no longer be this bad. I'm also using a new microphone in this video, thanks to you lovely people for buying items like my screwdriver through the affiliate link in the description below. I bought a new microphone, so let me know if you can hear a difference. I'd be interested to see what you think. So what we're gonna do is start off, actually, let's give this thing a test. Although it says it doesn't work, we should never take what they say for fact. So I have some brand new batteries. Let's go ahead and take out the two here and pop them in. Give them a little wriggle, which is something that a lot of Japanese sellers clearly don't do, because this sometimes fixes all the problems. And nothing. Nada. Okay, so yeah, that's probably an indication that the corrosion is quite bad, but we're never going to be able to tell until we open it up. So yeah, as I mentioned, if you would like to pick up this screwdriver set, it's about $7, and you can check out the link in the description below. And as I mentioned, supporting the channel through affiliate links is a very easy way for you guys to help me out and help support these videos, because it requires no extra input or money from you. So yeah, 6 tri-wing screws on the back. This screwdriver set comes with the perfect tri-wing screw bit for these Game Boy Pockets and just Game Boys in general. It's the absolute perfect size. So we'll go ahead and unscrew all of those. Now, another little tip, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, that I heard in my previous video was that these are self-tapping screws, which means that when the Game Boy Pocket or any of the Game Boy shells were molded, screw threads were not put into the shells, and instead, when these screws were put in, the screw thread was created from the thread on the metal screw. That's a lot of threads and a lot of screws. So what that means is we can actually re-tap the hole, the thread, and we don't want to be doing that at all. So when we go to put this back together, apparently turning the screw in the opposite direction will allow it to just find where the screw thread was, and I felt that there was a little sort of click in the screwdriver, and then you can put the screw confidently back in without damaging and cracking the shell. So that's a very nice tip. Thank you for the person who commented that. So let's open this shell up and see what damage is like inside. Okay, so the first thing I do is I have a look around the bottom to see what traces have been lifted up, and I can definitely see that there are some traces that are lifted up. Then I look around the top to see if there's a bunch more sort of corrosion that I can see, and it doesn't look too bad up there. So to find out the full extent of the damage, you can see there, hopefully, obviously a no-brainer, there's a lot of corrosion on the battery contacts, but here there's actually a little bit of corrosion where it's lifted up, and That is a little bit concerning, but maybe with some IPA we'll be able to clean that. But until we turn it round, that is anyone's guess as to how bad it is, because when you turn it round, that's when you see the real extent of the damage. But so far, it doesn't look too bad, it has to be said. I also like that this is the yellow board. I'm not sure if that's makes this one an earlier revision, but it's a nice little touch, that's for sure. Unhook the bail lock, or I think it's bail lock, maybe cam lock on the ribbon cable. If someone can confirm that for me. And then lift up the motherboard, hold the ribbon cable with your fingers and pull it out. And, well, I can see that there's a lot of water or something underneath. Can you see that sort of wetness there? I don't know what that is. But if we lift up this, there's quite a lot of corrosion under there. So this is a little bit worrying, I'm not gonna lie. You can see around here as well on these little through holes that there's quite a lot of corrosion. So yeah, that is a little bit worrying. Let's continue then at least by just disassembling the Game Boy further. We can go ahead and remove the rubber contacts, and oh my goodness me, look at how dirty those are. That's grotty. And then these ones as well, equally bad, but I'm not sure why it's wet. That is interesting. Then all the buttons can come out. They don't look too bad either, to be fair. Pop the start and select over there as well. And then last but not least, the screen. So just gently sort of twist that and it will come out. Be very careful with these screens because they can quite easily get damaged. There's definitely some water under here, which is really, really concerning. But before we start trying to repair the screen, we need to repair the motherboard because we need to figure out if that screen even works. So the shell, the actual front half of the shell, isn't in too bad condition. The screen lens isn't too scratched. There's a bunch of stickers down here that can be removed. There's also some more sort of residue here, but it looks like that's coming off, so that's decent. So maybe it's worth I keep the front half absolutely as it is, because I might be able to find another Game Boy where the front half is really damaged and the back half isn't. That means then I can paint the back half of the Game Boy and then, you know, do the opposite for the other one that I repaired down the line and swap the parts over. That was a really confusing explanation, but hopefully you can follow along. So on this one, this is a metal-based paint which is actually corroded, and then now the paint is flaking off. So yeah, the back of this is obviously in dire need of a repair. So we shall pop the screws out and set them to the side. They're also very, very rusty. And we can take our Phillips screwdriver again and just remove the metal RF shield for the Game Boy cartridges. Take that off and set that whole thing to the side as well. Keep all the screws in one area and just be careful not to knock anything in that direction, but make sure you don't mix all the screws up. And then the final thing that we need to do is take a very small Phillips bit and then slot it in this tiny little hole here, press down and forwards, and you should see the battery contact come out. And yeah, this is in need of a bit of isopropyl, to say the least. But it doesn't actually look like it's going to be too bad. So we'll definitely be able to clean that one up, which is nice, because I'm running out of those ones. All right, so we've got our two bits here that are going to need to go and be, you know, painted. This is going to also go in the sink and be cleaned up, so it's not too bad so far. Pretty happy with all of that stuff. Let's take a look at the motherboard. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of paper just to prevent damaging my table with the isopropyl alcohol, and I've got my ultrasonic toothbrush, a microfiber cloth, some Q-tips, and obviously my IPA. And what we shall do is start with the ultrasonic toothbrush and see if we can remove any of the corrosion with that. Hopefully we will. You can see as well there's a massive build-up of dirt and debris down on this bottom corner. Hopefully you can see that there, if my camera focuses, on the tip of my finger. The ultrasonic toothbrush will absolutely annihilate that. And I'll leave links to those as well in the description below, affiliated to help the channel. Alright, so a bit of IPA on the toothbrush, and just make sure you sort of dab it on the board just to make sure that it doesn't all fly everywhere. Turn the toothbrush on and then just go over gently the motherboard. You don't need to proper scrub it, but definitely need to apply a little bit of pressure. The speaker is really, really grotty as well, and as I mentioned, if there's a load of dirt built up on that, the speaker won't actually be as loud, because obviously there's an additional weight on the piece of plastic that basically vibrates and causes the sound to come out of the coil. I don't really know how that works completely, but hopefully it's something like that. So we can give that a wipe with the Q-tip, and then that will just clean it up. And then I'm also going to go over the button contacts and clean those up as well. Look at the state of the end of that Q-tip. That is really, really cool to see that all of that stuff has come off. Is cool the right word? I don't know, but it's awesome to see that the isopropyl is doing its job. Alright, and then what we're also going to do as well, just because we have to, it's an absolute mandatory process, is drip some IPA down the power switch and give it a little clean under there. A lot of people suggest to lift off the metal piece, but I've never really had a terrific amount of luck with that. It's a very tedious process. Just wiggling the switch around with some IPA inside will hopefully clean off the contacts inside and make it work better. We're also going to drip it down the contrast wheel as well, just to give that a clean, make sure that there isn't an issue with that. Exactly the same in the volume wheel as well. Alright, now I don't know if this is going to work. You know, it is very, very corroded. I really don't want to just swap the motherboard around, although that is something that I may have to do. Moment of truth then, plug that into the bottom. Oh my god! It turned on. Holy moly. Have I actually just repaired a corroded motherboard? That would be a first. Although some of the buttons might not work if the traces have been sort of destroyed. Here we go, let's turn that on again. The speaker doesn't want to do anything, and the contrast wheel isn't doing anything to the screen. Oh, okay, so the speaker did do something there. Although absolutely nothing is happening on the screen. I'm going to try a different screen and just make sure that there isn't an issue with the video chip. Okay, here is our screen from the Game Boy that I repaired yesterday, the DMG style Game Boy. So let's pop that in and see if that makes a difference. Fingers crossed. No, absolutely nothing on the screen. So just taking a photo on my phone of the motherboard, and I think I can see a bunch more corrosion around this sort of region. Let me see if you can see it there. Down here, hopefully you can see that, and under this chip. So what I'm actually going to do is clean that a bunch more with the isopropyl alcohol, and then I might just go over the contacts with my soldering iron just to reflow them. We need to now put some flux on these pins, and hopefully that will stop them all from joining up together as well, and make sure that the solder joint is a little bit cleaner. So here we go. Let's just put them on the ones that actually need doing. Like that. And we'll just give that a try for now. Let's not jump the gun and try and do those ones as well. So we'll just give this a try and see if this is going to make any difference at all. Hopefully you saw that. I don't know until I review the footage if you got that on camera or not. Hopefully you did. So those pins are looking tenfold better right now. I'm really, really happy with how that's actually turned out. So what I'm going to do is give it another little clean with some isopropyl just to make sure that all the flux in that area has come off and not shorting anything. And then what we shall do is try again. Here we go. So we'll grab the AC adapter, just make sure this thing still turns on. Yes, it does. Good. And we'll pop the screen in as well. We'll use the one from yesterday because it's not as badly damaged, so we can actually see if there's an image or not. And here we go. Moment of truth. Still nothing. Ah, no, what's going on? Again, I'm really happy with how they look. They look all nice and shiny and everything. And hopefully this will do the job. I don't know yet. Okay, here we go then. So we'll chuck the screen back in. Hopefully this will resolve the problem. A little bit concerningly, corrosion could be underneath those chips. No, that is still not making it work. No video. This is so annoying. Alright, party people, well here's the update. I could easily lie and say, look, I managed to fix the board, but unfortunately I just couldn't. I could not get the video to work. I reflowed the solder on absolutely every single component on the motherboard that I could see, and it just, well, not every single component, but the majority of them, and I just could not get it to work. Long story short, it's actually the traces on the motherboard that have been lifted up. There's these ones here that are completely damaged, and yes, I could go over and try and bridge every single one. I'm going to keep the motherboard. Maybe one day we'll do that. It'll be like a challenge to try and fix it, but look, I've tried. I've got a bunch more. I'm just going to use another one. I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but I definitely did try. The shell was really easy to clean. It had a bunch of stickers on it, but I just peeled those off with my nail. As I mentioned, I am going to be using the front shell exactly how it is. I'll probably replace the lens just because this one's a little bit scratched up, but for the majority, it's pretty decent. So here's a little microfiber cloth. I've just got some hot water in a spray sort of thing for plants. Just going to spray that on there and give the sticker residue that's left over there just a bit of a rub. Whilst I was out, it's been a couple of days since the last clip, I picked up a hairdryer called the Duck and Dry. This thing has a little stand, which are his feet, which are really cool, or hers. And yeah, basically this thing is a kid's hairdryer, right? Now the reason why the fact that it's a kid's hairdryer is important is not only does it look absolutely fantastic, but it means it's a lower temperature. So although it will blow hot, warm air onto something, thus drying it, it won't burn or melt anything. I also picked up this, which is a little ultrasonic cleaner. Although it's not ultrasonic, I took it apart to clean it, and it's just a rumble motor inside. But I wonder if it'll actually do a decent job. So let's tip the glass of soap and buttons that I filled up the other day into the ultrasonic cleaner and turn it on. And it's just for the most part vibrating everything around. But maybe that will shake the dirt off. We just need to try and get some more of the sticker residue off of the back of this. I'm going to use a bit of IPA for this sticker residue here. So I've got all of the residue off the back of that. It looks absolutely decent. Now what we're going to do is go over the whole shell, the back piece, with the Scotch pad. Alright, I've basically gone over the whole shell for the last sort of 5 or 6 minutes, roughing it all up, and as you can see, it's a lot more of a dull colour now compared to this one here, so looking pretty decent. What I'm going to do now is take it back down to the sink and just scrub everything down again, just to make sure that there's no bits of dirt and stuff left on there, and then we should be good to just get painting, so we'll crack on with all of that now. So one thing we haven't been able to do yet is check that the screen actually works. So before we spend a bunch of time trying to repair a screen that's actually broken, I've just realized this board isn't gonna work because it isn't the board with the LED. Right, let me find another one. Okay, I've got another one here. It's also the yellow one as well, so I'm keeping it OG. Turns on absolutely fine. Right, so let's plug the screen it came with in and just see if it works before, as I said, we spend a load of time repairing it to find out that it's really damaged. So here we go, turn it on. Okay, yeah, that looks absolutely fine. So what you need to do is take a sharp knife or a blade and you're gonna put it underneath the corner like that. And all we're trying to do is just get just under 1 centimeter of it up like that so that you can just peel it upwards. And actually we're going to do it with our fingers, but look at that, because this polarizing filter is so hard because of the glue underneath that is being burnt, it's probably not going to come off very cleanly at all. So we'll take some IPA and just basically put it into the cap of the bottle, just so you're not contaminating the rest of the IPA. Chuck that to the side, and we shall just basically be scooping it onto here to get a nice thick amount of it on, to really try and dissolve the adhesive as much as possible, just to loosen it up so that we can then go back over it and scrape it off. Here is our ultrasonic bath that I had everything in before, and if we take a look, some of the stuff is actually working. Now this is definitely not an ultrasonic bath, and there's no way it's as good as my old one, but my other one is broken and I need to order a new one. But that's a pretty decent looking membrane right there, so I'm pretty happy with that. You can see all of the dirt in the water though, so it definitely has made a difference. So for now, we should just pat all of that stuff dry. And yeah, we've basically got ourselves some new looking components ready to start going back together. Very exciting times. So going back to the screen, if you start applying a bit of pressure now on the screen whilst rubbing it with the Q-tip, you will see that the the adhesive will actually start to rub away, but it does take a long time. You do have to be patient. One thing that I'm noticing just as I'm rubbing away this adhesive is, unfortunately, in the middle of the screen, can you see that little sort of indentation there? And also, can you see how it still looks burnt? That's actually because the back polarizing filter is also burnt. Now, if I was to be doing a backlight mod to this, it would be absolutely perfect. I could just peel off the back, peel off the polarizing filter as well, and then slide a backlight panel in there and then bivert the Game Boy or whatever. But because I'm not doing that, this is a restoration, I'm gonna leave it with this sort of little dent in here and the somewhat burn. But I will use this screen for an actual backlight mod down the line. But because I wanna use the official component, we're just gonna have to deal with that. But we'll sum it all up at the end, you'll see what I mean. Look at that. So the pattern on this screen due to the burn is so weird. We've got like 4 little dots around the side and 1 in the middle, plus the polarizer burn, obviously, from the back. Right, so what I thought we would do whilst we're waiting for the shell to actually finish drying, we might as well start reassembling the front half, because we can screw all of that together and at least just get ourselves started on the final journey of putting the whole thing back together. So what we're gonna need to do now, be very careful at this point that you're taking everything seriously, because you can really ruin your Game Boy and all the efforts that you put in. So I'm going to take my pair of glasses scissors and we're going to just unfold those. And what we're going to do is cut the polarizing filter to the correct size. So start by setting the polarizing filter down into the shell. Make sure it is the correct orientation, otherwise the screen will not look correct. And then set that screen down as well in there. And then just take a look just to make sure that everything is in order, which it is. Again, not super happy with the screen, but it is what it is. Next up then, we're gonna take our freshly cleaned buttons and just pop them in. Then we can just set the start and select buttons down just like that. This motherboard is fully cleaned. I cleaned that a while ago actually, so this one's absolutely fine. Now remember what I said about just going anti-clockwise first, just to make sure that it goes back into the threads that it created to begin with. You will feel it sort of click and slot down into place, so that will just prevent you from cracking the threads or creating new ones. All right, lovely jubbly, look at that. Not looking too bad, not looking fantastic, not looking too bad. I'm not sure I'm going to be happy with this, you know. Just the screen is just a bit of a letdown really. But the next thing to do is the screen lens. So we can go ahead and stick that on. A new screen lens really finishes off any sort of refurbishment that you do. It just sort of makes it look a lot newer again. You know what? What I'm going to do is use a different screen. I don't even care. I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. I'm not using the same motherboard and I'm not using the same screen, but look, this is just not working out the way I want it to, and unfortunately, not every single project does. I've tried my very best. At least I've tried to repair them. You know, I haven't just ditched them and used something else, but I'm just not happy with this screen. It's just so burnt, and it's just gonna make the whole thing look really ruined. So I am gonna use a different screen. Yeah, that is much better. I'm much happier with that. I'm going to upset some people. I know I'm going to see comments that is going to say, oh, you haven't repaired anything. All you've done is resprayed the back shell. I understand that. I understand that. Let's wrap up this video. Here is the back shell piece. I'm very, very happy with it overall. Obviously, it's not going to be the exact same color as the original gold. It is a slightly darker gold. For some reason, it looks darker on camera. So the back shell piece has been fully restored, although what we need to do is just pop in the battery contact again, which is nicely cleaned now. So we cleaned all the corrosion off of the battery contact. Set it down. There we go. And then the other thing we need to do is stick down our brand new GameBoy Pocket sticker on the back of the Game Boy. There we go. Stick that down. That looks lovely. Just to summarize then really quickly, this screen has actually somewhat been repaired. We've removed all of the burn from it. Now I haven't put a polarizing filter on it yet because I don't have any that are gonna make it look the same color. As you can see, it's sort of like a gray color compared to what this one is that we put the polarizing filter on. It's a dark sort of green, and that's why you can see those little red dots there, because that is the sort of sticky adhesive back to the polarizing filter that I have not peeled off because I don't want to stick down the wrong polarizer filter on. I just have to take it out and stick the new one on eventually when I find the right shade. So once you put the screw in, turn the screw anti-clockwise, and you'll hear that click, and that's how you know that the threads have realigned, and then you're not going to be re-tapping the threads. Lovely, look at that, looking good. Okay, grab our batteries again and just slot those into the back and pop the battery cover in. Check to see it works. Oh, heck yeah. So that is going to wrap up this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, although it hasn't been the most successful video. They're not always going to be like that, but I've spent hours on this video, so I still hope it's been some entertainment for you. The screen is still very, very usable if I was to use it for a mod. The motherboard could still be repaired if I put more time into it, but for the most part, I've rehoused some of my spare components that I had, which I've actually repaired anyway, so this has still been relatively successful. Eventually, I'll find a back piece which is in good condition on a gold Game Boy. Unfortunately, this one is also very damaged as well, and then I can just swap the parts over and use you know, the spray painted back piece on a spray painted front piece and the original front piece on an original back piece. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Let me know what you think. If you made it this far, leave the word duck in the comments section. Leave the word duck and I'll heart every comment with the word duck if you made it this far. You and I will only know about it and all the other people who get this far in the video. And for the rest of them who leave halfway through or even 5 minutes in, they'll have no clue. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.